Time now to roll back the power of the state and give a little of it back to the people?
Well, I don't know what that means. It's the kind of thing that you hear at Lib Dem conferences over the years. But there's a very important contrast. Theresa May was saying at the Police Federation conference that she's going to be tough on crime. Of course, all Home Secretaries would say that, including me when I was Home Secretary. Nick Clegg was saying that he's going to restrict the police's ability to use DNA to catch criminals. Every year, 800 cases of rape, manslaughter and murder. DNA is central to finding out the culprits. So restricting the police's ability to use DNA to catch criminals, says Nick Clegg. We're going to be tough on crime, says Theresa May. The two things don't marry up.
Well, there are all sorts of ways in which she says she's going to be tough on crime, and she also says she's going to make it easier for police to do their work. She says she wants to strip away the bureaucracy that has hampered them during the Labour regime.
Well, everyone says that as well. Theresa is talking at the Police Federation conference. We asked the General Secretary of the Police Federation, Jan Berry, to come in and look at all the bureaucracy and tell us what we should do. And she found great difficulty, actually, as Jan would say. So it's easy to say it. It's another
why
thing.
Didn't she get a huge round of applause when she said we're gonna scrap all the paperwork, or at least reduce all the paperwork?
I'm not saying it's not a popular measure to take. That's what we actually, she's announced something we've already taken through Parliament in the last session to restrict the stop and search form. We all want to reduce bureaucracy. That's not an issue between us. How you do it is another thing. And taking the General Secretary of the Police Federation, as I say, and asking her to just tell us what we should do, which bits of bureaucracy do the police want to get rid of, not been a startling success, because actually doing something about it is very different to actually mouthing the platitudes.
What about this argument that she makes that police should be handed back powers to charge people themselves, charge people suspected of minor crimes, give the power back to the police on that?
That's sensible. It's something we were thinking of doing, and it's something that she should do, and she's right to say that. But the big issue, which goes back to your point about removing political pressure, what the Conservatives are going to do is get rid of all the police authorities all over the country. These local councillors, usually, and independent people who sit on the police authority, they're going to sweep them all away and have one elected police commissioner sitting alongside the chief constable. That is politicising our police. It's why everyone, every chief constable in the country and every police officer I've spoken to are vehemently against it. And it's a recipe for the police looking internally at this huge upheaval rather than looking out and fighting crime. Don't forget, crime is down by a third, violent crime down by 41%. Theresa inherits a good record on crime. To keep that, you need to keep the number of warranted officers, and you need to ensure there's no political interference in the police's decisions. Her proposal, I'm afraid, will drive a horse and cart through that.
Well, explain to me why you think it necessarily means it's politicising it. Theresa May's argument would be it's giving power back to the people. You talked about what does that mean? Well, she would say allowing people to elect their police commissioners makes them feel they have some control.
Well, look, at the moment, the way we've run the police for 200 years was ensuring that there was no political interference, OK? So the police authority, which consists of elected councillors across the whole of the area. So in my region, in Humberside, people from Grimsby, people from Goole, people from Hull, elected councillors and independents. Sweeping that away and having one elected commissioner, I've never heard the public say, this is the way we want to deal with crime. They say we want police on the streets, we want them tackling antisocial behaviour, we want them available and visible. They don't say we want to elect one person who's going to sit alongside the chief constable, and that means political accountability. It means nothing of the sort. It means you are actually running the danger in some areas, which is what the police have pointed out themselves. If you get a one-issue person, let's say someone from the BNP elected to that position, how is that going to help the police to do their job? This is seriously bad, a badly thought-out policy. It's a relic from 2005. It was in the manifesto then. I'm very surprised it's in the manifesto, and I'm very surprised that the new government intend to proceed with it.
A big push today for a new era in politics, and perhaps a graphic example of why a new era is being called for, with the news that Labour MP Eric Ilsley is being charged with false accounting. What do you make of that?
Well, I'm very sad that another Member of Parliament is going before the courts, but that's what needs to happen. If the public prosecution, if the CPS decide that this is a criminal issue, then it's right that it proceeds to court. It is, of course, as Joey pointed out, I think, a hangover from last year. It's not something new that's happened. It comes from the same expenses scandal that was so appalling and so depressing over the last year. So it's not something that's new that's happened. So I think it's absolutely right. I think my constituents and people across the country expect that if MPs have broken the law, that they should stand trial for that and it should go through the courts. Of course, Eric, like his colleagues, are innocent until proven guilty, but it's absolutely right that this process continues. And I don't think it detracts from the new politics that David Cameron, Nick Clegg, Harriet Harman, all of us want to see. There's cross-party consensus that we've done the right thing to stop it happening in the future, and that anyone who did engage in criminal activity in the past has to go through the courts. OK, Alan Johnson, we appreciate your time, and we'll put some of your arguments to the Home Secretary Theresa May shortly. Thank you, though. Thank you. In the meantime, though, let's catch up with the business news with Lauren.
Anna, thanks very much indeed. Breaking news from the City this hour. It looks as if moves are underway to find the next chief executive of the Lloyds Bank.